Adam, I know we didn't practice this or anything, but I'm going to spotlight you so everyone knows who you are, what you're talking about real quick, and
Hmm.
then we'll jump right into it. It doesn't have to be, you can give them the abbreviated version.
Okay. Yeah. So that Friday, we were talking about networking, interview skills, everything like that. And it was kind of funny because I had like a really big interview for a job I've been like interviewing with for, I don't know, weeks at that time. And I've always kind of struggled with networking, with putting myself out there and with kind of just being myself when it comes to talking about what I have to bring to the table when it comes to a job. The advice that Mo had given us, not just that Friday, but other, Fridays in the past and everything throughout the internship, it helped me to learn to know that employers actually want to see the real you and not some like fake person, I guess you could say. So I was able to take the advice he gave me and just be myself, and I was able to really relate to the interviewers, and it was it was the best interview process I've ever had because I was able to open up and be myself and just talk freely about what I've done, what I can bring to the table for them. So my advice to you is to be yourself when you're interviewing with anybody at all. Know your story and all the work you've done and how you can apply it to the job that you're interviewing with. So that's my little spiel to keep it short.
Good, good. And more specifically, what we were talking about is, and this relates to that opening conversation that we had, but all you have is all you need, right? So the one thing that really helped Adam connect with that employer, what had to do with a fan page that he runs, and he loves Kid Cudi, right? Adam is a huge Kid Cudi fan, and when he mentioned that and talked a little bit about Kid Cudi, the guy ran, got a Kid Cudi record, and was like, "Yo, I love Kid Cudi too." So those are the things that, when we talk about all you have is all you need, is showing up authentically like yourself and being you, because you never know how that is going to make you connect with the specific employer in that space as well. So let's talk a little bit about transferable skills. I like to pick on people when we talk about stuff. So when you randomly hear your name, jump in here. The one person, well, we'll get to that part. But when we think about transferable skills, what does that mean to you? Let's go with Lexi.
To me, transferable skills would be like experience that you've had somewhere else that you can use in like another job, I guess.
Perfect. No, that's it right there. Good. Very good. So when we talk about transferable skills, right? It is all about taking your skill set that you have and transferring it to another space. And I'm a big person on definitions, right? So before we even get to that place, let's talk a little bit about what a skill is, right? And when we look at the definition of a skill, it's just the ability to do something well or expertise, right? So if you think about this idea of doing something well in good or a satisfactory way, I always like to know, what exactly does satisfactory mean? What does good mean, right? Good just means to be desired or approved, having the qualities required for a particular role. So that speaks directly to what a lot of you are doing. A lot of you want to get to a space where you can get to that desired or particular role. And now understanding the skill set that you need to get to the role is very, very important. So, what does that look like? Well, it looks like a few things. What you can do is find that role right now, right? Take a look at the role. And I got this advice from a podcast interview that we did. Actually, ironically, it was with Adam as well. But look at the role that you want. If there's a role out there that you really, really want, maybe it's in the music industry, maybe it's in fashion, maybe it's in movies, maybe it's in IO, maybe you're a consultant, whatever that might be. Go look at the role, look at the requirements of that role, and then understand what you need to get, especially if you're newer in your college career or if you're towards the end of your career, right? If you know what role, what skill set you need to be in that role, then you can start to work specifically on taking those skill sets and building yourself up on those. Does that all make sense? Cool. So that's one direction you can go in. The other direction is taking some time, and a thing that I like to do is always reflect, right? What are some things that you have done that are really good, right? That you feel like you have a good skill set on. This all ties back to how we even market our internship. The first thing that you all see is, hey, if you want to learn and do all these things and you are the person that someone always asks to look at their social media or do those things, right? Think about the things that stick out in your life where people have said, hey, you're good at that, but also reflect on you internally saying, what am I good at? And by doing so, you can start to see some of those transferable skills by seeing, what areas am I really good at? What areas am I inquisitive in? What areas do I think I do a good or satisfactory job within that space? But then the other side of that is looking at roles, and a lot of interns come into internships and say, hey, I don't really have the experience, but I'm looking to learn, right? And that is actually a lie, right? You do have the experience, but you're just not reflecting on the areas of where you might have that experience, right? Let's say you come from a big family and you're the oldest or you're the middle child. Take that experience. That is a transferable skill, right? You can say, hey, I was the oldest child and I had to make sure my 4 brothers and sisters got to school every single day. I helped pack their lunch. I did this. I did this. So now what your job is to take that experience that you had and take different skill sets that you think you can pull from it and relate it back to what the job description is asking you. So if I want to take a family experience and packing lunches, that means I'm organized. That means I have great time management skills because the bus comes at 7:45 and I got to make sure they're out there at 7:30. So take those little things and you can utilize that and tell that to an employer. So it doesn't only have to be in a job setting, but if you can showcase that those transferable skills are throughout your life and there's an outcome that you are able to achieve within that, that's what they're looking for, right? A lot of you come from different backgrounds, so don't be afraid to utilize those different backgrounds and apply them to those transferable skills. Transfer, right? So all that means is you're taking one thing, moving one place to another, and that's where you can really think about these skill sets, right? Talking about how you've done something in the past, but how do you talk about it? Well, you have to quantify it. So what you want to do, and especially on your resume, but when you're articulating this in person, you want to introduce the problem first, right? So what is the problem that you're solving for? Then you want to talk about how you solved the problem and then what was the outcome and quantify it numerically, right? So if you can say, you know what, I did this, let's just stick with the family example. I did this every single day for however long the school year is, and I only messed up 3 times. They'd be like, damn, that's great numbers right there. If you got your family out, if you got your little brothers and sisters out every single day and you only messed up 3 times, 3 out of, let's say 300 times, probably less, but let's just say 100, and they give them the percentage on that, now it sounds like work experience. But what it also does, it makes the employer understand this person knows what they're doing and they understand the role. So the next step is you understand your skill set, but then you understand how it fits within the role. And I would call that observing, right? So we got reflection, then we got observation, but we can just use the word observing. So you've observed what the role requires from you, and you're connecting what you've reflected on, and you're taking that observation of that role and you're connecting the two. So now if I say, you know what, as let's just say music management, because I like that realm. Let's just say, you know what, the same way that I need to be able to take these kids and make sure they get to the places they need to go, I know an artist needs to hit these different press runs, I can make sure that they hit those press runs because I know how to manage time and I know how to communicate really well with them, right? There's a huge age difference between me and my younger brother, and I can relate to them by just understanding the things that they like. And I saw that within them. So it helped me to really say, you know what? We're going to listen. Well, let's just say we'll give you a reward by the time we get to the end of it, right? So if they really like apples or whatever it might be, like, hey, I put some extra apples in there just because you made it to the bus on time, and then you give them the apples right before they get on the bus, something of that nature, right? So now you've shown like a reward system within what you're creating for your specific career. For others of you, that might mean, let's just say social media management. You know how to get a bunch of tasks done in a timely manner and lay it out. So let's just say when your 4 or 5 brothers and sisters came down, you already had it laid out with their names on everybody's specific meal. And Jacob likes peanut butter and Julie likes applesauce, whatever that might be, right? So as you can see, I'm taking something that has nothing to do with social media, but I'm applying it to the role because I know dim events, y'all got Mo management. I'm able to lay out the post and the strategy for those 2 brands, lay it out, have an understanding of what it looks like Monday through Friday, whatever that might be. So it's just observing and understanding how you can make those 2 things connect. And then at the end of it, what you'll get is it shows that you are able to comprehend whatever you're trying to do within that role. Does that all make sense to everybody? So we got reflection, observation, and comprehension. So within those 3, within that middle part, observation can also come from listening to your friends and those family members who are close to you, who can reiterate and talk about the things that you do well. So one thing that I learned when I was out with one of my friends is like, hey, Mo is a very genuine person. And I had never heard that before. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe I am a genuine person. So what I did was I kept observing what people were saying about me. And that ties into what we talked about in that first meeting. All you have is all you need, but really talking about it from the aspect of what do people say about me, right? That is your brand, and you need to understand and comprehend that. So if I know what people are saying about me, then I can take that observation, reflect on it, and then comprehend how it fits into whatever type of role that I'm trying to go into. So what I want us to do with these last few minutes, you have until 10 o'clock. I'm going to put you all into breakout rooms. And what you're going to do is you're going to reflect on your transferable skills that you don't think are skill sets. What did we talk about? Transferable skills. Who got them?
I know all of us in my group, we were all dancers. So we actually all talked about things individual, and then we found out that we all danced, and we were like, well, dance has a lot of transferable skills, talking about, like leadership and teamwork, that, and learning how to work together and be creative and everything like that. So I thought that was really cool. And we're all not too far from each other too. Like we all live pretty close. So I thought that was really awesome.
Y'all all live in Ohio?
No, they live in Illinois. I'm the only one who lives in Ohio, but I know one of them goes to Michigan State, which is close.
Cool.
So yeah, it was really awesome.
Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Who else wants to share? Thank you for sharing.
I feel like being an older sibling, like I kind of just learned to, like kind of off your example, like I learned to kind of take care of my sister. She like had a lot of not issues growing up, but she needed like an extra person like looking after her for a lot of things. So I feel like I did a lot of the things earlier that I could like help her along. And I feel like that kind of has translated into like how I work. Like I sometimes like overextend myself in terms of wanting to help others like complete what they need to.
Good. It's good, real reflection right there. You can really talk about that because I feel like those are the things we miss out on so much, is just taking our life and applying it, because our life is the most important thing, right? And taking that life experience already comes into full effect when you're working, how you think of things, how you work through problems. So taking that as a transferable skill, I think we need to run with that more. That's really important. Who else wants to share? One more.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I spoke to the girls in my group about how like I was complimented once by saying that I'm a really good storyteller, and I translated that into like communication. But I was just saying, like, when I first came to university, me and my housemates, we played a game where we would all talk about our celebrity experiences, and I don't have very many exciting ones or anything, but I told a story about when my mum was younger, and my granddad had just come into like a bit of money and was like, oh, I'll take my girls away on an all-American holiday. And at the time, my mum was 10 years old, and they were saying, oh yeah, like Greece has just come out. She was dead excited. She was like, oh my God, I'm going to meet John Travolta. I just know it. I know it. I know it. And my granddad had to like ground her and be like, no, like America's a big place, Tracy. Come on, like it's not going to happen. Like, let's be honest. And my mum was like, it's going to happen. And so yeah, they the first night they ended up in LA, and they were staying in a Hilton over there. And the first night, my granddad and grandma had gone to the bar, and they were sat there, turned around, and the cast of Grease walks in. And so like my granddad was dead excited. So he turned around, he ran over to John Travolta and was like, look, it's a big ask, and I know how big you are, but do you mind if I just go grab my daughter? She'd be amazed to meet you. And so he was like, yeah, for sure, go for it. So he runs up the stairs, like goes and grabs her and just goes, Tracy, go put your best dress on, come back down the stairs when you're ready. So she comes down this big spiral staircase, and at the bottom, John Travolta's waiting for her. And so he's just like, hi, Tracy, how are you? And then, yeah, the rest is history. Like, yeah.
Wow. You are a good storyteller. That was really good. I was like, oh, this is fun.
Glad you enjoyed.
Cool. Really good. Great job, everyone. Thank you all for sharing. Anyone else want to share?
Can I say a quick one? That Shil Kim, she was in a group with me. She brought up a really good skill where, like, speaking a second language, you might not think it's a skill at first, but once you grow up and realize how many people do need that skill set, it comes in handy, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's a huge one. Like, definitely talk about that. And depending on what industry you're in, like, find examples, right? So that's the observation and the comprehension portion of it. See where it's needed, right? And a lot of the time, if you do your research, you'll be able to see where those skill sets are needed, and you can talk through why it's important within that space. Great job. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Give yourselves a pat on the back, round of applause, whatever you want to do. Play some hype music after this meeting to get yourself in the mindset and ready for your next meetings.